The story begins abruptly with someone trying to wake up the protagonist, repeatedly calling him Your Highness. The protagonist slowly comes to, groggily asking, What Your Highness? He seems completely disoriented, wondering where he is and recalling that he was just rushing to finish some blueprints. He specifically remembers needing to hand them in tomorrow. An older man with white hair and a beard interrupts his confusion, addressing him as Your Highness and urging him to quickly announce his ruling because it's almost time for an execution. This snaps the protagonist into realizing his current identity isn't the one he remembers. He understands that the me right now is Roland Wimbledon, the fourth prince of the kingdom of Grey Castle. The narrative then provides context. Roland is caught up in a fight for the throne decree, a strange idea his father, the king, concocted to choose a successor. The king assigned various territories to his 5 adult children. Over 5 years, he would observe their governing skills and choose his successor based on their performance. This is presented almost like a real-time strategy game, though the protagonist internally scoffs at the idea of it being a fair competition with equal starting conditions. Charts compare the siblings, showing the first prince and third princess excelling in martial/military strength, the second prince in wealth, and the fifth princess in intelligence, while Roland seems to have minimal stats across the board. Roland, described as a hedonist who wasn't favored even when young, was assigned to a remote, undesirable border town. The text implies this assignment was perhaps a way to get rid of him, possibly hoping he'd succumb to the Black Death. He laments living among aborigines in a dirty city. The scene returns to the present moment, with the older man again pressing Roland for a ruling on the execution. Roland recalls why he, as the original Prince Roland, was there. He was intending to preside over the execution of a witch. The chapter ends just as he grasps this immediate, grim task before him. Roland realizing he was supposed to execute a witch. On the execution platform, the surrounding crowd clamors for the witch's death, calling her an incarnation of demon. Roland, however, internally scoffs at the backwardness of blaming calamities on one person in a place where civilization is not open-minded. Thinking quickly, he stuns everyone by shouting, "Release that witch." When questioned, he feigns fatigue, declaring the ruling will be made another day. As Roland turns to leave, his chief knight, Carter Lannis, strongly protests, insisting that confirmed witches must be killed and worrying that delaying might attract other witches to attempt a rescue. Roland dismissively waves off these concerns, sarcastically questioning if such a burly knight fears a jailbreak, and suggesting it would be efficient to catch any potential rescuers simultaneously. He orders the crowd to disperse and heads back to his residence. Alone in his temporary quarters at the South Castle, Roland fully processes his situation. He accepts that he likely died from overworking and has been transmigrated into the fourth prince's body. Seeing it as an unexpected second chance, he resolves to embrace his new identity as Roland and decides his first course of action should be to learn more about the witch he just spared. Following this decision, Roland heads to the border town's prison. Knight Carter remains apprehensive, warning the prince that approaching the witch, whom he calls a claw of demons, is extremely dangerous, even with the god's locket of retribution restraining her. Roland again scoffs at his knight's caution, finding it amusing that Carter is afraid of a little lady. Internally, he reflects that the knight, despite having a charming face, is quite the chatterbox. The scene closes as Roland stands before the dark prison cell holding the witch. Inside the dimly lit prison cell, the chief knight remains wary, shouting, "Don't come near," as Roland approaches the chained girl. Roland calmly tells the knight, "No need to be nervous," before turning his attention to the prisoner. He asks the girl her name and what happened at the North Slope mine, despite the knight's frantic warnings not to talk to her, fearing she will bewitch the prince. The girl hesitates initially, but then agrees to talk. She explains that her father worked at the mine. During a collapse, he became trapped. While trying to help, another mine worker attempted to steal valuables from the trapped men. As this thief attacks someone named Uncle Ansgar who tried to intervene, the girl, whose name is revealed to be Anna, screamed in fear. In that moment, green flames erupted from her, apparently injuring or stopping the attacker. The onlookers were terrified, recognizing it as the power of a witch. Anna, horrified by her own power, begged them not to reveal her secret. Roland assumes her neighbor must have reported her, but Anna corrects him, stating sadly, "The person who reported me is my father." Hearing this apparent confession, the chief knight urges Roland to execute her immediately. However, Roland dismisses this, stating, "No, on the contrary, I want to have a look at the so-called power of witch." Following Roland's declaration that he wants to see the witch's power, Anna challenges him. She states that the god's locket of retribution around her neck prevents her from using her abilities. She asks if he dares to remove it, warning him that curiosity could get him killed. Undeterred, Roland removes the locket from her neck and simply tells her, "Begin your performance." Freed from the restraint, Anna unleashes a powerful display of fire magic, engulfing her body in flames. The sudden eruption startles Roland, who instinctively flinches back, questioning, "This is the power of a witch?" The knight shields him, shouting warnings. Roland realizes that magic truly exists in this world and understands why fire couldn't harm Anna. She essentially is fire. He marvels at the potential value she represents as a resource. After a moment, the flames die down. Anna looks defeated and resigned, asking if the fire is out and stating that she has satisfied his curiosity, implying he can kill her now. However, Roland surprises her completely. "No, Lady Anna," he declares, "I have decided to hire you." The narrative shifts to the Bordertown Castle Government Affairs office, where Roland is speaking with his advisor, Bear of Mons. Bear confirms that, per Roland's instructions, it was announced publicly that the witch had been hanged that afternoon. However, Bear expresses deep concern about the prince actually saving a witch, calling the risk enormous, and implying Roland is causing trouble. Roland firmly tells Bear not to doubt his decisions, asserting that witches are not demons or monsters. He lays out his reasoning. Bordertown is a terrible place, offering no advantages like his siblings possess, wealth, or military strength. His probability of winning the fight for the throne through conventional means is practically zero. Therefore, he explains, he must resort to a different method, implying the utilization of witches. He then instructs Bear to bring Lady Anna to meet him. Meanwhile, Anna is shown being bathed and given new clothes, an altered maid outfit, which Roland internally notes is more suitable than stiff worker attire or cumbersome magician robes. Now cleaned and dressed, Anna is escorted to a wooden shack that Roland had built nearby for her to practice her abilities. As Anna arrives at the shack, Roland observes her appearance with satisfaction, thinking the altered maid attire suits witches well. He greets her, asking, "How is it, Lady Anna? Is the clothing fitting for you?" Following Roland's comment on Anna's new clothes, the scene shifts to a discussion about the looming threat, the months of the demon, and the demonic beasts. Bear of Mons admits that neither he nor Roland has seen a demonic beast before, as few in the kingdom's center ever encounter them. Roland expresses frustration, realizing the town's need for annual evacuation prevents any real development, calling it a huge, hopeless pit. He questions why Bordertown cannot defend itself if Longsong's stronghold can, suggesting the beasts aren't invincible. Bear points out the disparity. Longsong has massive walls and Duke Ryan's elite troops, incomparable to Bordertown's meager resources. Roland grimly concludes that Bordertown's position between the North Slope Mountain and Chishua River likely means it serves as mere cannon fodder. Determined to gather intelligence, Roland orders Bear to find local guards and hunters with at least 5 years of experience fighting demonic beasts. He then turns to Anna, asking her to explain the months of the demon. Anna describes the yearly ordeal. Commoners transport their harvest to Longsong Stronghold and live in temporary settlements there until winter passes, exchanging their goods for food and a small amount of money for the next year. For them, unlike the nobility, it's a recurring nightmare where one could die. Later, Anna is shown practicing her fire control in the shack, clearly struggling and accidentally burning through several sets of spare clothes. Roland observes, noting that practicing fire control is harder than imagined and appreciating that Anna insisted on not wearing the maid attire during practice. Filled with resolve, Roland summons Berev again, asking about the men he requested and declaring, "That kind of months of the demon won't ever come again. I guarantee it." Berev returns, presenting two patrol squad captains, Grey Dog and Brian, responsible for the beacon tower near the North Slope mine, and a hunter who claims to have personally killed a demonic beast. One of the guards nervously reports that snow has begun to fall. They've spotted demonic beasts crossing the concealing forest, and they lit the beacon fire to warn the townspeople to evacuate. Ignoring the guard's stammering, Roland directly asks his partner and the hunter, "How do demonic beasts look like? Are they killable?" Responding to Roland's question about the demonic beasts, the guard Brian confirms, "They are killable, Your Highness." He explains that they were originally ordinary animals from the forest, driven manic and ferocious by an evil miasma, but they can still be killed. He adds that every year after the months of the demon, Longsong Stronghold sends cavalry to clear out any remaining beasts between the stronghold and border town. The hunter chimes in boastfully, claiming to have killed two himself and declaring them nothing formidable. Separately, Roland's advisor, Berev Mons, explains the local beliefs surrounding the months of the demon. He tells the prince that after the first snowfall, the sun dims, and it's believed the gates of hell open within the mountains. When Roland asks if he's seen these gates, Berev clarifies that normal people cannot, as the mountains are impassable and approaching them means exposure to the evil miasma. He adds a crucial local superstition. Unless that person is a witch who has fallen from grace and become the claws of the devil. Only witches are not affected by the evil miasma and are able to see the gates of hell. Berev assures Roland that since Border Town cannot defend itself, the inhabitants will evacuate to Longsong Stronghold, and the prince's safety will be the top priority. The large, imposing hunter introduced himself as Iron Axe, rumored to have the lineage of the Majin clan giants. Confirming he'd killed demonic beasts, he explained the hunter classification system of species. He described killing a wild boar species, whose black fur becomes incredibly tough, hard for even crossbows at 50 yards to penetrate, and a wolf species, which becomes cunning and astonishingly fast, requiring traps to hunt. However, Iron Axe warned that these regular beasts, while stronger and quicker versions of normal animals due to the miasma, weren't the most terrifying threat. The true horror, he claimed, lies in the mixed species, horrifying beasts seemingly created by hell itself, like one he encountered that had a strong body and wings enabling short flight. He only survived by diving into the Chishui River. Roland internally noted the challenge flying beasts would pose to defenses. Thankfully, Iron Axe confirmed these mixed species are rare, with only 2 or 3 appearing each season. Otherwise, Longsong Stronghold would face immense difficulty. Hearing this, Roland made a shocking decision. "I have decided to stay at Border Town." His advisors immediately protested, arguing it was impossible. They reminded him that even the tough wild boar species required elite troops, and Border Town's guards would likely break ranks after suffering only 10% casualties without a strong wall. Roland countered, "If that's it, what if I gave you a wall?" He proposed building one between the North Slope Mountain and Chishui River. Berev Mons reacted with disbelief, exclaiming that building such a wall was impossible in the less than 4 months remaining before the months of the demon, perhaps not even feasible in 4 years. Roland calmly reassured them, stating they didn't need to decide immediately. If a reliable wall wasn't constructed by the time the threat arrived, he would retreat with them to Longsong Stronghold, as he had no intention of dying needlessly. Hearing this conditional promise, Knight Carter swore to protect him. The scene then shifts dramatically to Blue Waterport, focusing on the third princess, Garcia Wimbledon. She discusses the impending return of her Black Sail fleet with her subordinate, Ryan. Garcia reveals her cynical view of her father's fight for the throne as merely a scheme to favor the second prince, believing true power isn't won by simply governing well. Her Black Sail fleet, operating through plunder without taxes, has been gathering experienced sailors, fierce warriors, and popular support. Her actual path to the throne. Garcia learns that the little tricks, implied assassination attempts, failed against Roland in Border Town, though the lack of news from other territories suggests her other siblings were likely successful in eliminating their agents. Expressing slight disappointment at Roland's survival, she instructs Ryan to write to her agent near Roland, codenamed Kingfisher, ordering another attempt during the inevitable chaos when the demonic beasts attack Longsong Stronghold, where Roland is expected to take refuge. Recalling the guarantees made by the alchemist Master and Bills about the incurable poison pill used in the failed attempt, Garcia coldly orders, "Hang him." The story introduces a new character, a man wearing glasses and clerical attire, named Carl Van Bate. He's shown initially thinking about a girl named Anna, before being greeted by a different young girl, Nana, whom he addresses as Teacher Carl. Carl is deeply troubled, haunted by recurring nightmares of the previous Anna's public hanging, where crowds scream devil and monster. He internally rages against the injustice, believing the true devils from hell were the corrupt Grey Castle officials whose greed, substituting cheap stone materials for profit, caused a new theater building to collapse, killing over 30 people. Yet, instead of facing justice, the blame was shifted to the Innocent Stonemasons Association. He laments the kingdom's heavy taxes, resource inequality, and the cruelty of branding an innocent girl a devil and sending her to the gallows, questioning if God sees this true evil. His turmoil intensifies when Nana approaches him, worriedly saying she feels something is wrong with my body and asking fearfully, "Will I be hanged like Anna?" Carl vehemently promises to protect her, vowing not to remain passive as he did when the Stonemason Association was destroyed and Anna was hanged. He feels he must act for Nana. The scene changes to a public square where a crowd has gathered around a work notice posted by Prince Roland. The notice announces recruitment for various construction jobs in Border Town: stone grinders, mud craftsmen, handymen, and especially experienced stonemasons, offering specific wages and even the potential for official positions for exceptional workers. This causes excitement and discussion among the townspeople. Carl sees the notice and recalls rumors about Prince Roland, his unique thinking, unconventional personality, and strong dislike for the Holy Church. Seeing this as a potential, albeit risky, opportunity, Carl decides he must approach the prince. He hopes Roland's anti-church stance means he might ignore their laws regarding witches and potentially help Nana, even though Carl acknowledges the danger of being seen as an accomplice. He resolved to take this chance for the memory of the first Anna, for the sake of the living Nana, and to heal the cracks in his own heart. The scene opens with Roland discussing his proposed wall with Carl Van Bate, specifying it should be at least 15 feet tall and 6 feet wide at the top. Carl, drawing on practical building knowledge, points out the challenges. Such a wall needs a deep foundation trench and a base at least double the width of the top for stability. He estimates that even starting immediately with 350 artisans, the slow process of grinding each stone for a tight fit means completion wouldn't be possible until next year's months of the Demon. Roland assures Carl not to worry about fitting the stones, introducing a supposed new product from Grey Castle's alchemy workshop called cement that will solve the problem. He takes Carl to a specially prepared cement burning room. Roland explains that while the raw ingredients for cement are common and easily found locally, the crucial factor is achieving a specific high temperature during production, something difficult without modern tools. He then reveals his solution. The precise temperature control needed can only be achieved using Anna's fire magic. Leaving Knight Carter outside, Roland brings Anna into the burning room. With focused effort, Anna uses her powers on the materials within the kiln. Shortly after, she presents Roland with the resulting product. Roland examines the gray powder, mixes it into a paste, and applies it between two bricks. The next day, Knight Carter tests the joined bricks, marveling that the mixture, fluid like melted candle wax the day before, has hardened overnight to become as tough as stone and incredibly firm, unlike normal hardened clay. Roland confirms the cement production was a success. Carter excitedly exclaims that with cement, they can build the wall as fast as they want, even suggesting they could wall the entire kingdom in 5 years if they had enough stone. Roland, however, tempers this enthusiasm, remarking that walls can't defend against enemies within. He states he'd rather use this new material to turn Border Town's wooden shacks into durable cement houses, ensuring his people won't lose their homes to calamities. He finishes with a bold declaration, looking towards Anna. In the future, I will let you all see that in this world, witches are the #1 productive force.